Good afternoon. Yesterday, I went on a day trip to Staunton, Virginia, and visited the Woodrow Wilson Museum and House. And I'll start by showing you this video. Wilson Museum in Staunton, Virginia. This is an exhibit of trench construction along that line into France. This is what it would have looked like. And this whole exhibit reminds you of a bunker. You hear people screaming. Second video. Again, a simulation of a bunker in World War I in the trenches where the casualties would be. There's false blood, and this is what there's even a periscope. It's a periscope to look at the grounds above. And I'll then show you a few of the pictures. Um, and we'll just run through them. Those are stills from the underground part of the museum to show you the trenches during World War One. There's another picture from the video. And then this is the outdoor near the museum. You take a house tour, and then you take a house tour, and then you can visit the museum yourself. And the house tour is very interesting because it describes his boyhood, and it describes what life was like in the late 1800s, how much tedium there was in daily life in a house, even for rich people, for why there's a stove, why the gender sex roles were so divided, and very instruments. Um, that's a cook's bedroom. The cook had her own room. It's almost like a caregiver today. And then the birthplace. And we go into the upstairs. There was a small piano, not a full keyboard, a guitar, a bed. And then the museum. A lot of stuff about in the museum. Horrendous war injuries shown during World War One. Wilson was very progressive, and of course, got into the war suddenly, but then became very supportive of the idea that we had to have a draft. And there was a sedition law passed in 1918, which made it illegal to make even the military or the war effort look bad, make the government look bad, maybe even to criticize the draft. That's a little bit debatable. But Wilson started out by being very progressive, then building a strong national defense. The 1916 election, that was before we got into the war in 1917, and then the influenza pandemic right at the end of the war in 1918. The 14 points that you learn in high school, the peace treaties, what a phone looked like then, it's a battleship. Wilson's desk in the home, another picture in the home. And that's his car, and I made a video short about it. It's presidential. I think that was his presidential limousine, which is on the grounds. Another picture close up. And then I stopped, and that's some of the grounds around in Staunton, and that's in Waynesboro, Virginia. I stopped and drove. And then, oh, there was I stopped at a restaurant in Falls Church and found this, they had this interesting um, sign, which I kind of agree with. That's the restaurant. And that's essentially what I have from the day trip. It's just really interesting what life was like, even for the wealthy, and how tedious every day was. The idea that they had a small bathtub and they had to draw water from a well, and the water they had to heat it with the fire, and the water would get cold, and people would take a bath once a week on Saturday afternoon before church, and there'd be 7 people that have to successfully use the same bathtub. I thought that was interesting, and how much drudgery the housework was, even in a wealthy family, and what we have today. That was just all very interesting. But that is what I have for today, and I do thank you for listening.